Hello, I'm Jerry Fort. I'm gonna review a coffee. This is the Entenmann's company. The flavor is cinnamon crumb cake. That sounds pretty good. Artificially flavored. I was shaking it and I hear like a do you hear it? It's like there's a little hard piece in there, and I've run into that before when I used to cut open the backs before I had a K-cup machine. And it's like a little solid clump in there that I used to, when I would bust it open and put it into a regular filter, I have to like push on it, and it would just, then it would crumble. But it's just like a, I was almost assuming it was something like a little bit of a like a little flavor drop type thing. Part of what helps to infuse maybe a little bit of a flavor burst into the coffee. It's a flavor burst, but it's not a sweet flavor burst. It's just like a little flavor infuser or something. I don't know. That's what I'm assuming it is. I haven't run into one of them in a while, but it could have been added because of the cinnamon crumb cake part. Maybe this is what they added for that type of a flavor characteristic or something. I don't know. I'm curious. Okay. Of course, I'm not going to cut this and open to check it out. I've got a K-cup machine now, so I'm just going to hope that that's what it is, and maybe it's going to have a good crumb cake kind of a feature to it. Of course, you don't get a sweetness. You're not going to taste crumb cake so much until I add a little of a sweetener type creamer to it, and then a lot of times I do get that kind of a characteristic. But that's just me. That's what I get. Other people that are experienced in coffee, what I call coffee connoisseurs, if that's how you pronounce it. So we're going to find out. All right. So I already got my water in there. It takes about 3 minutes to complete it. So you can count right now. 3 minutes out and see. If I remember right, that's how long it takes. Has to draw the water into the heating element area, and when it does that, then the coils in there heat the water up, and when it gets to the right temp, it runs it through. I'm just assuming that's how it works. I've never busted one of these things open to see, but it'd be interesting to actually see the process, even with a little simple one like this, just to see how it actually does. While we're waiting, if you're not familiar with my variety channel when I do my coffees, I do have a little cheat sheet I use. I got off the internet of aromas and tastes in coffees that you will get. When I first started out, I had a little trouble trying to describe what I was getting, and this really helps me to be able to describe what I'm actually getting, and it helps you to know for sure, maybe to a certain point, of whether or not you would want to get this brand or this flavor. So that when you see me looking at something over here, that's what I'm looking at, trying to figure out what it is I'm getting to be able to help to describe it. It's a simple little K-cup machine. It's worked so far. I'm disappointed in the company though. I can't get a hold of them. I haven't tried calling them yet. I have to have the patience to sit down to not go off about. I can't. What I'm wanting is I'm wanting a little K-cup filter type thing for ground coffee. It didn't come with one. So, and they all have different sizes. Like this one doesn't take Keurig type filters, little filter things, and they don't fit in here. So I'm hoping that the company has a little accessory that I can buy from them. At this point, they should just send it to me free. Mixpresso is the name of this little machine, and you try to go into their site. You have to put in a password. I pushed on the thing to go in, to go into it to try to get a password. I don't know how to get a password there. There's no simple way of getting a password. I can't see what you're supposed to do. It's just very confusing. Tried emailing them, tried messaging through Facebook. No one answers me. Oh, it's weird. It's weird. They ought to make it easier to get a hold of them. Drippy, 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 drippy. Cinnamon. Okay. Yeah, there's a cinnamon aroma. I kind of get that crumb cake, that crumb cake aroma. It's a little difficult because you got of course the coffee. The coffee aroma is is in there too. It's all meshed together, so it's not going to be it's not going to be totally highlighted in there, the flavor of crumb cake. But what I'm getting, there's a little bit of a sweet aroma. Yeah, a little fruity is one of the descriptions, and no. Well, I'm almost getting like a cider, like a kind of a cider kind of aroma, kind of appley, maybe, I don't know. A little bit mixed in with that cinnamon. It's weird. Huh. Drippy, drippy, drippy. Man, this is the most drippiest pod I've ever seen. I may get it over here out of the out of the way here. Okay, so it doesn't list a roast level, like medium roast, light roast, dark roast. It doesn't list that on this little pod. So that you just kind of have to guess. Right now it's got a light roast to it. Very light acidity, light roast. Light bitter, kind of the same as roastiness. It tastes okay. It has a decent coffee flavor. Really, that's kind of all I'm getting. Entenmann's is an expensive brand. You try buying Entenmann's donuts or any of their cake type stuff, and they're expensive. So I would expect this to be on a higher level type quality. That's just an assumption of mine. I would assume it would be on a higher level quality, being an expensive brand. It's decent. It's a decent flavor. Let's get a little lactose in there and see. Let's see where that puts us, because the cinnamon. Cinnamon isn't. You might get a little bit of cinnamon because cinnamon isn't sweet. It's not sweet until you put sugar with it. I don't remember cinnamon being sweet. I haven't had cinnamon actually in a while. You do cinnamon sugar on like toast, but you're adding sugar with the cinnamon. So I guess I might get it a little bit, but I'm not going to add too much stuff to this because the flavor isn't like huge, so you can really lose what you got here, and you don't want to. I don't want to totally mask off what I'm getting. So let's just start with that. Still get a little bit of a crumb cake kind of aroma. Get a little lactose now. Not much has changed, except you get a little lactose now. Let's put a coffee mate, French vanilla coffee mate, in there. Let's get a little sweetness into this mix, and let's see if we can't save this coffee here. They might, they might expect people to add stuff to it. I don't know. I'm not that experienced in coffee, so I don't know what people are looking for. I should watch more coffee reviews of people that know exactly what they're doing and see what they say about it more. But because it always surprises me when they're like drinking it and like, oh yeah. That crumb cake is just, that crumb cake flavor in there is just fantastic. I'm like, what kind of crumb cake are they eating? So now you got the coffee flavor, you got a little lactose, you got just a little sweetness, a little French vanilla going on in there too. But magic just isn't happening with this one. A lot of times what happens for me is when I add a sweetener type part to it, what they're calling it, let's just say, cinnamon crumb cake, then the sweetening added to their coffee flavor, it actually appears for me. Then I start tasting it, because a lot of times what they're showing on here, you don't get until you, what you're showing on here is a sweet flavor, right? Cinnamon crumb cake is a sweet kind of crumb, kind of cake. So, it's hard for me to, from the concept of cinnamon crumb cake, that you'd be getting it without adding anything to it. I just don't, my mind won't conceive getting that. You know what I mean? Now, usually by now, I'm starting to taste like a crumb cake type of thing. I'm just going to add the rest of this to it because we're at the point where I'm a little disappointed in this one here. I'm going to look up this one. You guys do it too and see if anybody else did it and just see what they're saying, because I'm curious if anybody's saying anything about this one. The cinnamon has come forth a little bit more with a little bit more sweetening to it, but the crumb cake part, I'm just not getting it. I don't eat cinnamon unless it's mixed in something sweet, and that's when I taste a cinnamon. You take cinnamon and you put it in your mouth, it's kind of bitter, isn't it? So anyway, here you go. Entenmann's Cinnamon Crumb Cake. This is all just my personal opinion. Everybody's going to have a different one, and I understand that. So, all palates weren't created equal, right? So, so you just don't know. You just don't know what other people are going to taste. But I thank you all for watching. I appreciate it, and we will see you all on the next one.